on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is a very special episode of the State of Wrestling, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on? I'm coming to you with a few sutures, stitches, and screws together, but hey, I'm the Tin Man. Just give me some oil, and I'm ready to go.
Lube does not count as oil. Anyways, not going to do that. We're both having very interesting weeks and very suitable, appropriate weeks because the moratorium is lifting for a night.
For one and only, we're going to bring out the famous Luigi Promo. He's going to bring us into AEW predictions.
Oh my!
Oh,
I mean, just put a pizza ad next to somebody getting their face cut with a pizza cutter. That always works well.
Oh, that was.
All right, this is going well already, guys. We're going to talk about All In and how shitty it is.
How many commercial gaffes, make fun of yourself moments have they had now? Really, the Taco Bell one, the Pizza Hut one.
Well, the one that cut off,
Jack Perry.
Jungle Boy, whatever.
Yeah.
That was
great.
Fine. That was an improvement to the show. But
but what would you sacrifice for a 7-layer burrito taco?
I haven't looked forward to, and we've been talking about this because we haven't podded in a minute. I haven't looked forward to a podcast in this kind of way, for those of you that have been listening for a long time, since Scene Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, because I did this last year. Like, basically, I don't even remember if I did it by myself or maybe I did it with Guapo. Can't remember off the top of my head, but basically I called like All In, like what the fuck is this show? So this is All In, what the fuck is this show 2?
Yeah,
Electric
this
Boogaloo.
is their Electric Boogaloo. This is their WrestleMania Spaz. Like, this should feel. Epic.
Okay. We're gonna do something right off the bat that's gonna piss everybody off, and you know what? Those kind of people probably are already not listening. So
I already know where you're going with a Las Vegas start, but go ahead, give me your point.
Las Vegas start. I don't know. Say something.
Basically, Double or Nothing, I think, is where you were going, right? You think that should be their Mania? No.
No. I'm gonna say something about this show. I just have to find. It's the one thing I didn't have up on my screen before we started.
I thought you were gonna, already tick the fans off by saying technically their Mania should be Double or Nothing, because you're right. You've said that before.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely right.
Okay, but let's see right now, because we want to call it their WrestleMania, right? And you've seen the spreadsheet that I've been keeping. Everybody on Twitter, X, knows the spreadsheet that I'm keeping.
Yes.
Attendance for WrestleMania, 145,298 people. Currently, tickets distributed for this show, 50,022.
Even if you do 2 nights.
Not quite, but it is.
Yeah.
No, I'll stick to this. It is. If you bought a ticket for both nights of WrestleMania,
but I'm saying,
you bought
even
tickets.
if people did want, you definitely, whether you went to night 1 or night 2, you went to Mania. I agree with you entirely, but saying,
if you bought both,
even
you
if
bought 2
people,
tickets.
Yeah, if people wanted to, though, say one night, they still couldn't beat the not. One night. Is my example.
But I like hitting
year,
them with the big number. Because
last year was a big deal. It was a big deal. There was a few things heading into All In. One, it was a happening. There wasn't wrestling really all over the world in the sense of major U.S. promotions.
And it was the first time
elsewhere.
that they left. I shouldn't say the United States, but it was the first time they'd left North America. And for that, for where they were at the time, even though stuff happened, and we're going to touch on that as we go.
You already know Canada's the 51st state. You might as well just call yourself the U.S. at this point.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they've been to Canada and they've done the U.S. So, like, I almost wanted to say first time they left the U.S., but that wouldn't be accurate. And some of us actually care about accuracy, guys.
And geography.
Oh, my dear Jesus. Wales is, like, right next to Scotland. Isn't that the thing?
How dare you talk about my mother?
Oh, no.
Oh, you meant the place. Gotcha, sorry.
Oh, no. Are you Wales from Scotland? That's a great joke. But here's my thing, though, right? Like, last year was a shit show for a lot of reasons. A lot of, like, multi-person tags out of nowhere. Not the greatest build. It was called out by the people that were on the card. I'm not just saying CM Punk for the sake of sticking in a CM Punk jab, but a lot of people were like, aren't we going to Wembley? Like, what the hell? It was a fun show for what it was. And it was take the bias hat off for a second. It was an accomplishment for a company of their age and their size and whatever to do Wembley the way they did it. Now, they lied about the numbers, and that's another thing for another day. Simon Miller did a guest spot as a security guard on the kickoff. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, and here's the thing, really quick. I do want to say last year felt like Forbidden Door 2 in a way. It didn't feel like it had several points and storylines forever continuing. Like the main event was going to be two faces against each other. Like it wasn't supposed to be this.
Yeah, it was a bunch of melodrama for the company and the fan base that pretend that they hate melodrama.
Yeah, so if you really
see, the thing about that is I'll take that shot, but that's one of the things that I liked about the show, the whole MJF Adam Cole thing. I was still on it when a lot of people had fallen off.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. But what I'm saying is there wasn't a ton of story there really at that point. It wasn't like they had a turn on each other in the main event or anything. It was just that they granted them, till sudden death, and that was it. And the event ended with hugs and fireworks. That was how it ended. It wasn't this evil turn or the devil thing or anything. So,
and you know what though? I could see, like I say, devil's advocate. I can see them like an ending like this can actually happen because they're like WWE back in the day. You wouldn't trust them with an ending like that because people would be gay or something like that, right? Like I think it was cool that they tried that, right? And
the only time you get happy endings at Mania Spaz is when it ticks all the boxes. They don't. They like.
There's a really hot chick next to me. And never mind.
Well, that too. But hey, you know what? That's how they finish. I concur.
Dear. No, but here's the thing though, right? Like even if that was the case, even if they just threw a bunch of matches on a card because they knew they were going to be in a big place, WrestleMania has been guilty of the same thing, right? But the people on the show itself were calling it out, being like, shouldn't we be talking about this? Shouldn't we be, like, building better stories? Shouldn't we be advertising ourselves more? Shouldn't we be puffing our chests out and whatever? Now,
and that's exactly it. The Elite last year.
This year they've put stuff together, and it's trash. So maybe they had it right last year.
But here's the thing. Last year we had the Elite, in their form, and it was supposed to be, oh, God, we're going to see... what the hell's his name? The Golden Elite. Sorry, I keep saying Kenny, Hangman.
Kenny and Coda?
Yeah, and Hangman. They did that whole combined six-man tag against Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Takeshita. And again, it just felt like something I would see on Rampage or Collision at that point. It didn't feel like a Kenny Omega match.
Yeah.
And then Jericho and Ospreay had a good match, but it was still Jericho, and Ospreay made him look good by selling well, but there was nothing there that really pulled me in. And I wish they had that moment, but I don't know. The Acclaim winning the six-man titles was kind of okay, but there really wasn't any other big story. There wasn't any big moment.
I'll make a comparison for the sake of balance in a WWE capacity, right? WWE did the Evolution show, and it was really important because of what it was and whatever. I don't think it was a particularly good show, but it's good that they did it. And if I can give AEW anything, like, even if All In wasn't that great, you still put a shit ton of people in Wembley Stadium as a company that's only been around 5 years, or 4 years at the time.
Yeah.
So it's good even if it's not good. Now you're coming around for round 2, you don't get that pass anymore.
Exactly. Last year was a happening. That was basically the point I'm trying to get to. Cornette said it. A lot of people have said it. It was a happening. It was like I said, a draw of people being able to go to Wembley and see a collection of wrestling stars. They made it into an event. It wasn't about AEW because there was no card announced. People weren't buying. They didn't even know who they were going to see last year.
Right.
And
AEW had stayed on North America as an island pretty much because they were 5 years old, and there was the curiosity of some. There was the, oh my god, I've been watching these guys, I have to get up at 3 a.m. to watch it, boo hoo, rah rah rah. They're actually coming over here. I get to see it at a time that I want to, like all the WWE shows now that are going worldwide and whatever. Hey, I get to see it at my time, and it gets to feel normal and not this thing that I have to get up at 3 a.m. for or stay up until midnight for. Like, they had that. And
absolutely.
Let's see what it's all about.
They opened with a joke and closed with a hug.
Yep.
I mean, they had Better Than You, Baby, Adam Cole and MJF doing their kangaroo kicks and stuff, win the tag titles.
Yep.
I believe the ROH titles at that show, which they later fucking ruined anyways. But
because why would you do ROH titles on an ROH show?
But you had the same guys wrestle twice, yet there was only one women's match. It was 8 minutes long, and somehow Saraya won just because it was her home country. You know, they were trying to be like, oh, she's a hometown girl, and she came out with her family to Queen, We Will Rock You, like that. But they hadn't paid attention to her for months leading up to that. It wasn't like this was like no one thought she would win, because I thought Toni Storm might win.
But this year, haven't you heard Mercedes Moné out there boasting to anybody that will listen? Isn't it great that there's 3 matches on the card, even though one doesn't count because it's on the kickoff?
They keep calling All In being a celebration of women's wrestling.
Oh my God!
That's one of the points I want to get to after the fact.
We'll get there, because I'm going down the card as it is on Wikipedia. I'm not putting this in any kind of order whatsoever. I just thought it was kind of funny for them, because one of those women's matches she's talking about is a mixed tag, so it's half a women's match.
They're treating a 3-match women's card.
That's a WWE. That's a WWE Saudi show.
Evolution. Yeah, exactly.
That's a WWE Saudi show. And if you're saying that that's your high point, and one of those is a mixed tag, so it's really 2.5 women's matches.
No, 3.
I'm sorry.
3. You're right. Poor Stokely. That goddamn elevator accident. Not going to be him.
Good way to start off, because that is the. Well, we're doing this on Thursday, and they haven't thrown like 27 more matches on the kickoff. So right now there's only one.
There's only one on the kickoff a year before. There was 2 a year before, right? Because it was Jack Perry as well. So we'll see what happens on the pre-show. Really quick before we get into it, last thing as well. He booked it like a happening. He really did. Mm-hmm. And that was my biggest cry last year overall. I'm like, what are you doing? Treat this as a super show, not... he didn't make it a, look what AEW can bring you. Here's all that we have to offer. Instead, it was just this, I'm going to give everybody their creative freedom and cheap pops.
But do you know what it was?
Did you care about FTR beating the Young Bucks? Because they already won the tag titles before, so that wasn't special.
I'm going to comment on that when we get to that match, because I have a theory.
And the match wasn't great, and now we're getting what feels like a lot of repeats, or we're still getting a lot of what we saw before. So it just doesn't feel interesting.
Here's my point,
At least we have some
like,
stories this year.
AEW. They kind of lean on the fact that, tune into AEW, you could see anybody from anywhere. Meanwhile, our own roster is like sitting in the back twiddling their thumbs, right? But if I want to give credit where it's due, because I'm going to be unleashing a lot on this card, so I have to give credit where it's due, or criticisms become worthless. The first All In, before AEW was a thing, was that let's bring everybody from everywhere and show that this is a thing that can happen. And like some of it, don't like some of it, dick druids aside and all that, it was a pretty interesting historical thing that happened. First All In, before AEW was a thing. Like, were people stroking their own egos? Yes. Was some of it a bit over the top? Yes, but I shouldn't really say anything about that, considering the stuff that I like. But the second, like, All In London last year, you can't do it like that, because you're trying to put your company out there. I'm not trying to give the guy business lessons. Maybe I should. But, like, the first All In under the AEW banner can't be the other All In, because the other All In was all these companies coming together, and now you're putting the AEW stamp on it and still bringing in people from everywhere else. So how do all those other companies feel?
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? Now, there's a little bit less, again, to give them credit, there's a little bit less of that this year. I don't know who Tomohiro Ishii works for, technically. So there's one or two things in there like that, but it's just like, they didn't do a big AEW show. They did a big show and stamped AEW on it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I perfectly get what you're saying. So
okay, so tell me how this works, right? Because I have a theory about the entire women's division, and it's sort of going to break down as we talk about each of the women's matches on the card. Because I could fix this and make it make sense, but it is what it is. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway are a tag team. They're taking on Willow Nightingale, Tomohiro Ishii. I guess Willow Nightingale is part of the conglomeration now.
Basically,
for reasons. And Stokely Hathaway is wrestling for reasons.
Yeah, I'm confused as she's not with like an Orange Cassidy or somebody else.
Well, he's in a different match, but like
I know, but I'm saying somebody from there, Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
Anybody, Kyle O'Reilly. Why is Tomohiro Ishii?
I think for a kickoff match like that, though, whoever is her tag team partner might not necessarily be in the Casino Gauntlet later on. We'll talk about that when it comes. But I think they want to keep you guessing and think that everybody can be in that. So Ishii isn't.
I just feel like he's a huge waste in this match.
he's one of those weird wrestlers that it's just like, if he's out there, I'll watch because he's a weird wrestler. I don't really care what he's doing, but I mean that in a nice way. But
all my stuff is Cornette stuff tonight. I'm sorry, but it's just the best description. Yeah. He's a goddamn walking potato.
Yeah, he is.
With arms and legs.
It's kind of, I like
with
him.
No personality, no nothing. Just comes out there like
this
a
is me.
spud.
Like, you know me. My knowledge on Japanese wrestling is like less than zero, right? I can't tell you why I like Tomohiro Ishii. I just think he's a weird wrestler. He's not like a lot
I didn't
of
care
wrestlers
for him when I was watching Prince Devitt make the Bullet Club back in the day. When I was watching New Japan for a while online.
Okay.
Because it was actually easier to watch rips of that than Raw and SmackDown in the hospital, believe it or not. It was harder at that point in time to view those things, and it was just the way the streaming services weren't really around in that time, like 2010s to 2015 era. Okay. As soon as the network came out, then it started to change the landscape a bit more. But I've never cared for Ishii. I feel like it's a waste with him with Willow, but I imagine since Willow has the match against Chris
at All Out.
They're gonna have
the winner of this apparently gets to pick the stipulation for that.
Yeah,
but I just
I think we're gonna get Chris winning here. A heel wins, picks the stipulation for Willow to overcome it all out.
I like Statlander. It's hit or miss with me whether or not she works as a heel, because people she comes out there doing sign language, like acknowledging a community that hardly ever gets acknowledged in the hearing impaired community and all that kind of, and they've got her as a heel.
Exactly, and
I mean, out of the two of them,
I love the fact of what she does. And
Willow's not going to be a heel, so Chris was going to be the heel. And the thing is,
and she liked turning heel. She said she's enjoyed it so far, and she wanted to explore that side of her. Cool. I'm all for it.
No.
It's just a weird match to have Stokely as your partner for.
It is, but I think if I was her, you got put in, she was put in alongside with the Best Friends for a while, where the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy specifically are like, oh, we're just happy to see them because they're just fun, happy, clappy baby faces to a certain degree. I'm sounds like I'm putting them down, but whatever.
No, but that was then.
I bet she likes flexing and seeing if she can be more than that. And like I say, it doesn't always fail.
But why not put it with Trent then? Trent turned heel not long ago. Have Willow team with one of the it should be Orange Cassidy really,
because they want the comedy face to face of Tomohiro Ishii and Stokely Hathaway running away.
Exactly, and that's Tony booking for the sickos, not the audience. This will get over with the already AEW faithful. It's not going to get anybody that ever you want to watch wrestling to give a damn. They're going to look at it and be like, oh my God, look how stupid, this is why wrestling's fake. You have a huge guy and a tiny little guy. You know what I mean? So we're going to have those stupid moments instead of, oh my God, Trent turned heel.
You know what it is? It's Undertaker
hates him. And
it's Undertaker. It's Undertaker versus the Big Show, and Big Show gets 5 minutes in the ring with Paul Heyman, and Paul Bearer does his Paul Bearer. I'm not a wrestler, and everybody laughs for a second. They've taken that and put it into a match. Here's the really bad thing. This is where it's like I say with some protesters. I'd be on your side if you hadn't gone 10 steps too far and gotten stupid. Tony Khan is kind of the same way. Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. That's all I need to hear. I just want to see them in a regular match.
That should have been the opener. You don't need Stokely. You don't need a hat on a hat on a hat again.
But this is the thing. They've put 25 hats on a hat, because I've got Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale in a mixed tag, and then I've got Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale in 2 weeks in a stepped up match, where I just want to see them in a match.
Yeah.
You've given me, you haven't done anything with them. These ladies have gone out and shown me that I enjoy watching them work. Tony Khan doesn't get to take credit for that. So you're gonna throw donuts on my cheeseburger. It could be.
No, thank you.
There's so much of this card too that's it could be so good, but it's not.
And that's the thing. And apparently at the Collision tapings, I'll give you a slight spoiler. Doesn't matter. Big Bill was very over with the crowd. Big Bill took on Hook. Okay. And when he lost, the crowd booed. They chanted for Big Bill. He was over in the UK London side of things. So
you know what? I'll buy that though, because people know, whether you know him as Big Bill, whether you know him as William, whatever, whether you know him as Big Cass, people that know what he's been through in his real life are going to cheer for him just because they're cheering for the guy.
Yes.
Like,
and that's what makes a difference, because the smart fans there are going to be... It's a WrestleMania fan
right?
crowd.
But like,
yeah. It's the WrestleMania fans, same idea. It's those fans that'll be at everything every time, and they see it as a chance to cheer for a guy that earned it, you know? So they are saying that it should have been Big Bill against Jericho instead of Hook on Sunday, but we'll see what comes of it, you know? But yeah, Collision was taped beforehand, and nothing really of note. One of the things I wanted to bring up with you, a spoiler but not a spoiler, so that's what I was going to say. Do you want to discuss it before or after our card predictions? But
spoiler warning, skip ahead a bit.
We'll give you a 10-second leeway. If it's good, we'll talk now. But Ricochet is supposedly fully signed to AEW.
Oh, yeah.
This is a
so
known
is Lashley,
fact.
apparently.
Lashley's more of an unknown. I haven't heard definitive things with him, but I have heard all but 100% certain Ricochet signed his deal. It's a 3-year deal. It's very high paying, 7 figures. He's very happy.
I mean, fine, but it's going to be another...
It's similar on the level of what they told money-wise would be for Edge, so that's crazy.
That is pretty crazy, because somebody
is being paid more than Edge, but...
Yeah. See, and here's the thing, too, right? Like, I like Ricochet. Did WWE use him particularly to his fullest extent? No. Do I blame him for leaving? No. Is it going to be cool to see him do a bunch of flippy shit in AEW? Yes. Are they going to treat him like the new savior, the next big, you know, what's the word they like to use? Game changer? Yeah. Yes. Is it going to work? No.
And see, that's the thing. I think that if there ever was a game changer, there was one guy, and had he gone when it originally started, would have been seen as a real flex. Had Jericho already been there. But I think if Randy Orton had left when he first teased the Elite thing and all that, I really feel like he could have, when AEW first started, not was already established, he would have had to go there to build with them. But to
be one of the building blocks like Jericho.
Yeah,
was.
I think he would have drawn more eyes than Jericho, and I think because he really considered, he went back and forth, and there was a lot of talks. He's always only been a WWE guy, so that's another big thing with that. And I really thought that was going to be a holy shit type moment, and
it's like people say now, like, it doesn't matter who they bring over. They could bring over Brock Lesnar or John Cena, and I'm like, yeah, because now more than ever, it's like, yeah, we got him because he's a WWE guy, and look, he's not in WWE anymore. Hey, villain fingers.
But there's also I can't wait to see what happens when Finn Balor gets called up to the main roster. Oh, well, now they're calling him Skippy Pete, and he lost in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, so AEW is already established, so we know how the booking works. We know Tony's mindset on things, and there's so many plot holes and errors and loopholes as well with the rules that it takes me out of it anyways, but a good portion of the audience, because it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. So no matter who they bring in, even Shane, even Vince McMahon, would it be a big moment? Absolutely. But would it last? No, because I know how Tony books.
I'll tell you, if the Shane thing happens, there's one reason why it's happening, is because if he thought he could get away with it, Tony would book Vince. If he thought he could get away with it, and if he thought he wasn't going to get slaughtered on social media, and, you know, public opinion and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, he could live out the Attitude Era.
Tony would book Vince if he could.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
He would relive the Attitude Era, but with a different McMahon and you know.
Here is my statement on new people coming in. Having nothing against Bobby Lashley, nothing against Ricochet, nothing against anybody else that feels like they want to make a jump. Athena is still in ROH.
Yeah.
That's my new measuring stick for, go ahead and hop and see how well that goes for you.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Wrestling already breeds paranoia among the workers, because promoters are not your friend.
No.
They'll tell you to your face, oh, we'll take care of you, we love you. And Tony might mean it in that moment, but I guess issues are recently that he's gone back on a lot of things to those that do have creative control changing their mind. So when the other party agrees, now he's got to go back on it because other people, a la Miss Monet, are not happy.
Oh, like Miss Monet went and basically got Sammy Guevara like bumped down to ROH as well. Like let's pretend that didn't happen though.
Let's say that's not the reason, and that's why he's there. And the creative control leads to what? A lack of creativity, you know, from what? Fragile minds and egos, and that's basically what we've been seeing with the build of this card. It's everybody getting what they want, but what they want isn't what we need.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, that's really like my tagline to die on at this point. They're giving everybody that works there what they want, but it's not what the fans need to see. There are so many better matches or moments on here, except for maybe 2.
Yeah. So I want to get into my women's match theory with the next one. I'm gonna do what Tony does. I'm gonna lump all the women's matches together. Because the next one we're going to talk about is Toni Storm versus Mariah May. We'll talk about that match in a second.
I also heard this will be the one to open the show as well.
Probably not a bad one. But here's my thing, though, right? This match, how can I say this? I like Toni Storm. I don't particularly like the timeless gimmick, but I like that she's doing it because clearly she likes doing it. So there's like 3 different layers to that, right? If I was Tony Khan, first of all, ew, this would be for the world title. Willow and Chris Statlander would be for the TBS title, and Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker would be your, what do you want to call it, like exhibition? Not as far as
wrestle to the death, Spaz. We need this.
It's true, but like death. You know what I mean, like the spectacular, the blockbuster, the Rock versus Cena type of thing, right? Because like, even though I don't think it is, that's what they want you to think of it as. Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker. Oh my God, these 2 legends coming together. Please gag me with a spoon. But the way they're talking about that match, it doesn't need a belt. Meanwhile, she's got 2, which is gross. You could put that belt on Toni Storm and Mariah May, and the belt that they're fighting over could be between Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, and you wouldn't have this stupid mixed tag going on, and Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale would actually be on the card as opposed to like jerking the curtain with Tommy Harishi and Stokely Hathaway.
Mercedes didn't have 2 belts,
yes,
then everybody could have 1?
Yeah.
I must have missed that in kindergarten.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. We're not even there yet. Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May.
I'm with you. I'm just not with you as far as liking the gimmick. I'm over Toni Storm's gimmick. I'm happy she's happy. Whatever.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I've never liked the whole black and white artist thing. I've never been a fan of it. But I do have to credit looks like she's really into it, and they're letting her run with it, and I liked it early on when they thought she was crazy, not everybody actually seeing her in black and white. You know what I mean? I thought she was just losing her mind, and this was going to be like her mental breakdown. She became a star, and that was good. But then, like, everybody fed into the illusion, and then the whole love to Mariah May, and it was not good. So I would like to see Mariah May win here. I did like Mariah May doing the whole understudy thing because it made me think of Mizdow.
Yeah,
like Miz and Mizdow, and I thought that was really cool. And Mariah May is not somebody I am familiar with from anywhere else, so I enjoy what she's doing. When they brought in the other girl from Japan, whose name I can't remember, so people are going to call me racist.
Mina Shirakawa.
Yeah, and there was there was like the 3-way lesbian let's all make out thing that was like clearly WWE HLA, but except we make fun of WWE for doing HLA, so they sent Mariah May out there to be like, no, we wanted to do that totally. They didn't ask us to do that. Eat shit. I don't blame her. I really don't, because as I say, I'm not as familiar with her, so my bias is going to be with Toni Storm anyway. Yeah. If this is what knocks her out of the whole like hallucination 50s actress thing, like back into like the way we used to know her, then cool. If she wants to keep rolling with this, cool. I think she wins.
I think that Sexy Dynamite Princess, that's the only other name she's ever gone by, Mariah May.
Okay.
I'm checking it out here. Sexy Dynamite Princess might win this one just because of what goes on later in the night as well. I think Tony loses here. Mariah cheats to win. We get a rematch at All Out because they don't have many matches booked for that, and we're going to need some rematches, and I think that's going to be one of them.
She had a match with Saraya on Dynamite for reasons.
Yeah. So we have
we're
Nightingale.
on this side of the world. We better give Paige a match. Like,
Oh,
remember when they brought her in and they called that a big win, and then they didn't do anything with her after All In last year.
Forever. That was it. They did nothing. You're right. And then on top of it, there was no promotion or anything afterwards. You're right. It says that Willow Nightingale versus Kris Statlander is for the CMLL World Women's Championship
in 2 weeks.
Yes, the stipulation will be determined at All In 0 hour. The pre-show. But it's for the CMLL, so I guess Willow does have that title. Maybe I missed that. And the only other match on that
AEW
card,
is not going to give them a title to recognize what they're doing in their company because they've got another company's title to fight. That is
just
such
like having Moxley as the head New Japan title holder.
Okay, but they treat Moxley like a main eventer though.
Not when he held that title.
I know, but like in general,
that was in general, yeah. But not when he had the belt.
But like, this is the thing though, like. I don't want to steal a Roman Reigns thing, but like when Moxley's there, when Moxley shows up in the building, he's in God mode. Like the sun rises and sets on that guy when he's in the building. So I don't feel as bad for him. Like he's held that world title in AEW, but to say, Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, they're definitely having a title match at an AEW show. It's just not for an AEW. That is such a fucking cheat.
It's a cop out.
It is such a cop out, and Tony Khan's been using it for 5 years.
Exactly. And we got MJF Ospreay taking on Pac in that show's main event. So either which way, anyone taking on Pac, that's just a dream match scenario. For the Intercontinental or the American Championship, depending on who wins. But no one gives a shit about that belt, so it should be for the main title. And that's another one of their gigantic fuck-ups. But still, as we said...
That's a good transition.
We had one more women's match to go through, I know. But
well, we do. I wanted to make the point of how I would just...
Oh, go right for it.
No, the whole what I said a minute ago. Give the mid-card title to Kris and Willow. Give the main title to Tony and Mariah May, and Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker can just be a match.
Yeah, just be the
or maybe why doesn't she put her New Japan Strong title on the line? Like fuck me with a rusty fork.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everybody can get some.
AEW, despite being shit, is so fucking lucky. Because I don't care what you think of the title. The titles in AEW don't really mean anything, but they can still squat.
Yeah, they have far too many titles.
They can still squat over the bowl and shit gold like MJF versus Ospreay. Like this is
absolutely. Their first meeting was incredible. That 60-minute match should have been an Iron Man match. Christ, the way they wrestled, but it was
it
not
was like 3 seconds away from being an Iron Man match. Yeah.
They did it straight up. They timed it out crazy.
Mm. And then he went and started a fight with Britt Baker, but whatever.
Who's he to barge into the locker room?
But how even watching these and some of
they got me with that one too. I thought it was going to be a time limit draw. That was great.
But they didn't lean on the time limit draw like they have in the past. Again, I'm shitting on them, but I will give them credit for that. No, you took them all the way to the line, and then I thought that was really cool. MJF and Ospreay. I'm totally buying and paying for this show on Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much. This is the one match that I think everybody wants to see the most as well. Yeah. So where would you put it?
Ooh. I'd get a lot of people online really mad at me if I said make this the main event, wouldn't I?
Probably. Because it's not the AEW title, but...
Well, and because it's Brian's career. We'll get to that when we get to it. But, even the part, they had their back and forth. Don't get me wrong, I had a double helping of retard last night between watching Dynamite and watching the DNC. So,
ooh, you really marked out to that one.
Oh that's okay. We've got Oprah. Fuck off.
Says Obama.
Oh my God. Just bring the comet. I know I'm having a bad week, and I'm sort of taking it out on this show because it deserves it. But in general, Jake, bring the comet. I talk about how shitty my week is, and then I get from you, oh yeah, by the way, I'm in the hospital again. I'm like, well, shit.
Well, I'm not dead yet, but
anyways, Will Ospreay, MJF. I will be honest. I'm still pissed off that we didn't get Ospreay in WWE, but apparently he's a grind runner, so that's unfortunate.
How do we not have Will Ospreay win here? This is the match they should have had for him last year.
Yep.
And this is going to be his homecoming. I mean, his entrance last year was good. I mean, there were 87,000 people. Obviously, he got that big moment, but it's going to be even bigger because he's been presented as a star and having matches on Dynamite. That's one of my problems with Bryan.
I did like the fact that he was like, look at the reaction I got last year when I didn't even work here.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't full AEW yet. Now he's AEW true and true. So I'd really like to see what we get from him. You know, I want to see this entrance, the reaction, the win, the pyro, all of it. I'm genuinely excited for him to go ahead and finally get his flowers, you know, as you want to, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the way that they treated this as well, having them go ahead and go to Rev Pro and keep it going. So they've been to other, you know, former promotions and they've got it going on. Like they're keeping the story alive.
Because when AEW goes to other companies, it's not cheating. But when WWE, you know, oh my fucking, I don't have any patience for anybody today. This is fucking awesome. The match is going to be great, and the match is going to be disgustingly way more than AEW deserves.
Yeah, this is going to be incredible, and I think they're not going to obviously have another 60-minute bout, but I think they're going to go about 30.
Here's the thing.
I have a feeling it'll be 30 minutes. I'd be happy with 15.
It's a pay-per-view. It's a title match. You want a winner, you want a loser, whatever. This is the only match on the card that I'm looking at right here. If they went to a draw in the middle of a pay-per-view, I wouldn't care. Because it would mean we were getting the match again. I haven't...
I'm with you. I see that. I can see MJF cheating and getting the final match at All Out being an Iron Man match. You know, I can see something like that happen too. But I don't want to see Will Ospreay get booed in Wembley.
But imagine imagine they go the full hour in the Iron Man. And either they've all got the same or nobody's scored a point still.
It could happen.
I will say, like I say, criticisms mean nothing if you don't give compliments where they are deserved. I have not looked forward to a match in AEW like this since MJF Punk in the dog collar match.
Yeah, it's been a while, so...
Because, and MJF's finding, like, Will Ospreay is, you know, everybody loves me, but he's kind of walking that line of, like, actually being the lovable guy, and being the guy that walks out and says, everybody loves me. So he's doing that, and it's helping...
And I can't understand half of what he says. I mean, their miking last night, their audio was abysmal, so you couldn't hear the entrances.
I will say,
you couldn't really hear the crowd chant.
But this is the shout for them, right? Even with the sound issues they were having, the promo that these two guys had
still came across epic.
Was the best thing you've seen on Dynamite in ever, and there was a lot of talking. If I was in Wales at Dynamite and it was like, we've never had a Dynamite on this side of the planet before, and you got that much talking, I'm okay for a promo. I'm okay for storytelling, do a cool segment, do
especially
a segment
that
where shit
promo,
goes down.
Yeah.
But holy
where it ended,
fuck,
not good.
That was a lot of talking to buy a ticket for. And they're not exactly cheap, those tickets.
No, not at all. And that's the thing, you know, you've been to Collision, and I have been as well.
I have been to Collision, yeah.
You know, so you know how much the regular tickets go for the TV shows. And
never been to Dynamite. Dynamite's been here. I've never been to... The only reason they got a Collision ticket out of me was because Punk was there.
Does Grand Slam count? It's Grand Slam Dynamite, so yeah, pretty much I've been to Dynamite, you know? That's about as close as it gets.
Didn't they move Grand Slam like twice, and now it's back at Arthur Ashe again? Something.
I thought so, but I'm not positive. So,
right. Seriously, like, I can't make a prediction about this match either, really, because I don't care who wins. I'm just looking forward to the match.
Yeah, I totally get that.
It's disgusting how good this match is going to be.
I want to see MJF lose. I want to see Will Ospreay bring back out the Intercontinental title or Continental, whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Well, he's gonna take it back to being the international champion.
International championship. It's still the Intercontinental for me, but
if somebody's gonna do like a made up title thing gimmick, we've seen it before. MJF's doing it pretty good, and they timed it well with it being an international show. Like, I get the people that are like, it's cringe, it's happened 100 times. It's like, yeah, but he's doing it well, and it's timed well, and it makes sense.
Exactly. This is the one that works. That's why when it works well.
Well, this is the guy that makes it work as well. Like, I'm sorry if you give this to some of the other people on that roster, and again I say same in WWE when people have done it. Like, you give this to some people, and it does reach those critical, like, repetitive tropes of, like, tick this box, make sure you wave a flag at somebody, you know, Shawn Michaels sticks the Canadian flag up his nose and humps it. Like,
yeah,
it's up to somebody like an MJF to take a thing that is repetitive and make it feel new. And because he does it, I can't say anything about it.
And he certainly
AEW doesn't deserve either one
he
of them.
finds a way to be new each time, and he does it well. So I
and
cannot argue
it is a
with
very
that.
and it has, and most people are like, oh, he's not the cutthroat MJF we used to know the first time around, and it's like,
He's more.
Well, I wouldn't say he's more.
He's evolved anyways and changed in different ways.
But I think
he's more
the
than
story
just
of
that
him,
cutthroat bastard.
I think the story of him, like, opening up, having a lighthearted side, having like a babyface side, and then being away, getting angry, coming back, saying, yeah, the old MJF is back, and having to slowly prove it. Like, what's a good example? A proper example. Like, Jey Uso going to Raw.
Yeah.
A lot of people, Drew McIntyre included, didn't want him on Raw because of all the stuff that he had done with the bloodline and all that, and it made perfect sense, and he had to prove himself.
Yeah.
MJF is kind of doing the opposite. He's like, I did some goofy shit for a long time. I have to now prove to you that I am the vicious, cutthroat, balls-out heel that you guys cheered me for being in the beginning.
Exactly.
And I think him finding, like, it's an old trope, but, like, finding that dark side and, like, cultivating it slowly rather than just trying to flip a switch and be like, okay, I'm the asshole again. That's way more real.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely way more than AEW deserves. Like, fuck me. And they don't deserve Will Ospreay.
I know you don't care who wins, but who do you think is going to win? That's what
I think it's going to be Ospreay.
I think it has to be, really.
I think it's going to be Ospreay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Ospreay, and then if Garcia's still in AEW, he's going to come back. He's going to take out MJF. They're going to solve their injury, or their issue, rather. And then eventually, like, in a respectful way, you're going to get Will Ospreay and Garcia.
Yeah.
At some point. Like, just as a, hey, we tried to do this a while ago, MJF kind of fucking got in the way.
Yeah,
so
let's
do it properly now. But again, Garcia's another one that I'd like to see come to the dark side. We have cookies, like...
Mm-hmm.
Ava will take you to a Slipknot concert and get you cookies. It's fine.
It's fine.
Oh God, I really want to talk about next weekend instead.
Right? There's so much going on that's the funny part. It's just too good to be true sometimes.
Such a loaded weekend, and not even saying this as a dig at AEW. Next weekend is just a loaded weekend.
There's 3 shows next weekend.
There's Emergence, there's Bash in Berlin, and there's No Mercy.
No Mercy. I keep wanting to say Bad Blood. I don't know why. It's stuck in my head, but yes,
yeah,
No
Bad
Mercy.
Blood is where we're going to see a Hell in the Cell match with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, the guy that they were stupid enough to fire. Anyways.
And I like how a fan suggested that at a press conference, but he said it to be their first match, so Punk, like, shit all over him, and I get why you shit on him for it, but...
Yeah. Well, he was probably
funny,
also...
Like,
there was probably a bit of him that was like, shut up,
exactly.
We're going to get there.
That's part of what I was laughing at now. You look back, and maybe he was like, well, they're on to something, and I don't want to let them, so he just shit on him anyways.
Well, because he knows there's a certain amount of people that don't like him that are going to be like, oh, Punk doesn't want a Hell in the Cell match? Let's definitely do a Hell in the Cell match.
Exactly.
Speaking of CM Punk and I don't know.
I was trying to make that transition.
I don't know what the transition is. You're speaking of people that can fuck off.
Yeah, the scapegoat.
Jack Perry gets what should be a pretty coveted spot at an all-in type show against Darby Allin. Darby Allin deserves a better opponent. They're doing a coffin match because Jack Perry has done the shitty version of making his own title. Because we reward people that help us get rid of employees we don't like.
That was always my problem. I've said it 100 times now with Jack Perry.
He's being rewarded for bad. No, but see, you can't even say bad behavior because he is doing what his boss has told him to do. And everybody, conspiracy theory. Yeah, okay, like go suck a flat Earth. I don't know. Hey. I got nothing. But see, the thing is, like, I want to skip this match because it's Jack Perry and Jack Perry can fuck off. But like, I really want to talk about Darby Allin. And how Darby Allin could be doing much better things. He's going to kill himself to make this work.
Yeah, Darby Allin is going to kill himself one of these times. I mean, that's going to happen.
It's not even going to be in a wrestling ring. It's going to be catching the bus. That's not nice.
Hey,
here's the two
though.
things. Here's the two things that are going to kill me about this, right? Because you hear rumors and speculation and innuendo and all that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
First of all, there's going to be a glass spot. And he's
We
gonna
know
say,
that.
and he's going to say real glass, and then he's going to jerk himself off for 5 minutes and think he's the most clever guy in the world, and then he's
because if not, why ever play the footage?
I still don't know how that's legal. I don't, and people are like, oh, you're being a pussy. No, like, literally, if you snuck around my workplace and took video of me without my knowledge, I would fucking sue you.
I think that was the CCTV, though. It was Wembley security footage.
Okay, but it's still, you are now using my image that was not produced to be part of your show.
That I can understand, arguing your image being used, but you can't say about the recording of it, because that's for safety. Them putting it on TV. I got you.
Not them having security footage. Obviously, they're going to have security in a building like that. I mean, taking that without your knowledge, without your consent, and making it part of your show that's eventually going to make money. So they're still, any way they can, they're still going to make money off of One Bill Phil. Anyway.
Exactly. I'm anesthesia Jake, so you got to mind me if I don't get everything. I'm not firing on all cylinders.
Here's the other thing. It's a casket match, right? Casket match goes back to I'm not doing the copycat thing. They can do a casket match. Other companies have done casket matches.
That's Darby's specialty.
It is Darby's special. I'm not doing the whole oh my god they copied WWE, because I mean TNA has done casket matches as well.
That's like saying you can't have a table match.
But here's the thing though.
Although you never do see a TLC match, huh?
Well, they do the Escalera del Muerta, whatever it is. But here's my point.
Bless you.
Here. Fucking popped me, Jesus Christ. Here's my point, though. People are saying that it's not just going to be throwing him in the casket and shutting the lid. There's going to be a thing where they take it outside or to some other area, and the casket's going to be buried, right?
Yeah, put him through the casket. And
who
into
was
the glass.
Who was CM Punk's chosen first opponent in AEW?
Oh yeah, it was Darby Allin. They're burying Darby Allin. They're
burying Darby Allin to bury CM Punk.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a fuck
and they're going to do
you,
the real glass thing. And the fucking...
Darby will do whatever he has to do. He's a good, soldier for AEW. He likes the paycheck and he doesn't want to be homeless again. He said many times. But you can also tell that he's the real scapegoat.
He's being
here.
like the punished surrogate. And he's being he's not being punished. I shouldn't say that. He's being the surrogate so that they can I'm sorry,
the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah,
brought to slaughter.
Friggin' Jungle Twink and the Young Schmucks in the back are going to be having such a fap after this show. They're going to surf out of Wembley on a wave. It's bad.
Well, when we get to that, we'll continue a bit more. But with this match, I think you just all but nailed it. There's not much of a prediction besides that. I think that's literally what's going to happen. Jack Perry has it set up. Darby looks like he's going to win, but then Darby gets put through the glass coffin to, real glass, and that's how it ends. I genuinely think that's what we're going to get.
The funny thing is, if it wasn't, glass is an interesting, take out the Perry and Punk thing. Glass is a fun thing to play with.
And Darby's used glass before, too. They're saying, it's not just because of Punk and all that. It's because Darby used glass in the Sting match.
So they picked somebody who already uses glass so that they can cover up the fact that they're using glass to make the joke that we all know that they're going to make. And fuck.
It's like 3 layers of hell.
The match could be so much cooler if it didn't have all this bullshit attached. Darby Allin deserves a better opponent. I'm sorry he does.
Darby does, but you know what? Jack Perry at the end started to make this work because they fucked up with the whole Hell in a Cell ripoff with their blood and guts bullshit by handcuffing him to the side of the cage and then demanding a title fight at that moment from the EVPs. But the EVPs can make fights even though Tony Khan's in Tony Schiavone's earpiece and sitting in Gorilla. Why is it all the blood and guts matches end in somebody just saying, oh my god, please don't hurt them after they've been hurting them for 45 minutes? I understand one of the teams has to
Chris Jericho, poor fucking guy, had to fall through a box and make it look
painful, yeah.
But it was and I'm sorry, I'm no fan of the Young Bucks. It made the Young Bucks look like pussies.
It did.
I'm not one to stick up for the Young Bucks.
No, but it made them look bad too. I know.
When I look at somebody that fucks me over, I at least try to think of okay, how did this benefit you? If it didn't even benefit you, then I'm really questioning what the fuck is wrong with you. It's one of those, if that makes sense. But
exactly.
I wish Darby Allin was in a better match. I wish there was somebody else like Darby Allin-esque. And I'm not saying you have to fight somebody that's like you, but I know they're crossing over with WWE right now, so they probably won't do much with AEW. But like Darby Allin versus somebody like a Crazy Steve.
Yeah, it would be.
It would be
ideal.
it would be a match that would just make both of those guys smile, and it wouldn't matter who won. Like you could have Decay show up. Ugh.
There's so many things you could do, and that's kind of the shit for it right now.
I don't want to say any spoilers about next week's NXT. I'm excited though.
It is going to be good.
It's going to be good. Have you seen them?
People are ready. I've only seen a couple. I didn't finish reading those. Like I want to know. Yeah. I wasn't intentionally trying to read them. So
well, I think I said it to you. It's like I saw the spoilers and they're awesome. I wish I hadn't been spoiled, but they're awesome. Yeah, I want to say Darby Allin. I don't think it's going to be that way. And it goes for the next match as well. It should be Britt Baker, and it's going to be Mercedes Moné.
I think you nailed both. I mean, Jack
because
Perry
last year she had
here.
to sit up at the top of Wembley and with a big boot on and pout. Meh.
I don't know if we get the rematch between these two. It seems like All Out is usually a lot of rematches, and so we get MJF taking on Pac, or Will Ospreay taking on Pac. More than likely to be Will.
Although cool. I do kind of wish we could continue this trend of, somebody gets buried by Mercedes and then they decide, maybe I should go to the better company. Oh wait, she's in Mexico right now because she doesn't have a visa yet. But she's coming.
And you know what's funny? How badass it was of how she was treated by the AEW crowd against, Mercedes. Yeah. People aren't as crazy into her as like they're thinking. So it's not as easy going.
Do you know what I listened to? Right? Do you know what I listened to? Obviously, I listened to What Culture, right? But they've been all over the place this week because I think various guys are taking various days off. Not our business, right?
Leading into All In and all that shit.
But not even that. Just I think a bunch of them are parents and they're taking their designated summer holiday. Like I say, not my business, but basically the podcasts don't have the
family
typical
time,
and they don't have to do the typical people and whatever. But they had Adam Wilborn, who's awesome, who's basically the podfather over there. But they got Scott Tailford, who is he's part of the What Culture thing, but he's on the What Culture Gaming channel. He's not part of the wrestling crew.
Yeah.
But he watches AEW, so they bring him in, he offers to fill in every once in a while.
Yeah,
and
because he follows the product, so he can...
Yeah, well, this is the thing, you get a different sort of opinion when you get him, because he just watches AEW. He fell off WWE 20 years ago, so he's like, I never knew Sasha Banks.
Ooh, that's a good opinion to have, so what do you think?
So he heard all this hype, and he's like, what the fuck's all this about? Pretty much.
Can't say I blame him. I mean, really, she hasn't done anything of note. She's had, 2 matches, and they've not been good?
They buried the entrance music, too, because it's stupid. It's like remix Gunther's old music. But it really is.
It kind of is.
It really is a statement on things in the sense of a lot of the building blocks of AEW, and yes, even though I don't like AEW, I will respect people that tried to build something. Like when they did the Pillars thing, when they were like Darby and MJF and Sammy Guevara and
Jungle
Boy, right? And then they said, one of the Pillars should have been Britt because she was basically the whole women's division for a while now.
Yeah, and that was always a shitty thing to have too, to have Pillars, but whatever.
It was.
I got the point of it, but
it kind of was true at the same time, and it was this weird sort of nod. It's like I would say the Four Horsemen or the Four Horsewomen in NXT. They were never a team. It was just always that collection of women that they credited the success at the time.
Right, well, maybe if AEW never made a shirt of it and sold it, I would have preferred it.
Okay, don't make it a thing. Just make it a thing we all acknowledge, type of thing. But I still do like the fact that they were like, hey, we got all these big names, and we got Jericho in there, and the guys that are running the place are really well known. But you guys are the building blocks, and you guys have been here since the beginning. And it was a really, really nice acknowledgement, right? This small handful of guys that were really the grassroots of the show when it first kicked off. I think, what was it, Sammy Guevara was in the very first match ever on Dynamite, and they always reference that, right?
Yeah. Against Cody, right? No, who was it?
Maybe Cody. My memory's shit for stuff like that. I only know. I
remember the Panda Head, because then he went and they turned it into the Jericho squad there, the Inner Circle.
Yes. But no, my point being is they made a big deal of reminding you of that. They made a big deal of the Four Pillars, and then they kind of, as a joke, I think somebody was making fun of MJF and said, "Oh, Britt should have taken your pillar or whatever." But it's like on a real tick for a second, she should have been the fifth pillar.
Yeah, because
but here's the prime example of like, here's somebody that was the first woman signed to the company ever. Wasn't always great. Struggled with promos for a little bit. Struggled with different character stuff for a little bit. And we saw her struggle every week, and she became like great as she is now.
Yeah, she's improved a great deal.
Do you value the person that's been here for 5 years, or do you value the person who watched it grow for 5 years and said, "Okay, I'll drop myself in now"?
Pretty much, yeah. You guys established everything. I'll go home and take my paycheck.
You guys have built a house. I'll come and put my feet up. And
that's sadly how it feels.
Am I saying it specifically because I don't like Mercedes Moné? Yes, but I would say that for a lot of, like, if Becky Lynch went over tomorrow, I'm a big fan of Becky Lynch. It would be cool to see her in a different place, but I don't think she should go in there and steamroll everybody, and I don't think she would. That's the difference.
But she would also go ahead. If she was going to go, she would have went years ago when she had the chance before the new contract. You know what I mean? She had the option. She didn't want to leave. And if she had, I think she would have done it then. Because then she could have developed herself like a Britt Baker.
But you know what's going to happen is as soon as we solidify that she's not going to AEW, we're going to get all the, she's not that good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like who? Like Ricky Starks is getting right now. Like Penta and Ray are getting right now.
It just kind of keeps going round and round.
The Motor City Machine Guns right now. Like Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu are getting right now. Like Julia and Stephanie Vacour and Delta. I don't even know anything about Delta, but she's already getting shit on.
Yeah, sad that it has to come to that.
It is. And meanwhile, it's like...
And that's what puts off a lot of the fans, is that kind of attitude.
We're going to have a powerhouse women's division, and our competition is AEW. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, AEW is having multiple women's match, but it's only the top 2 women that they're featuring, and then they have one on the pre-show. Like you said, that's an intergender.
I'm waiting for
like a women's celebration of wrestling, you know?
No. I'm waiting for the pay-per-view where they throw on a women's battle royal and be like, look, see, we featured 30 women. Like,
exactly. They need to have that.
And Mercedes is going to bury Britt Baker, and I'm going
to Why was this year not the women's time to have a, what do you call it, the casino battle royal that they're having coming up, you know? The gauntlet.
And see, here's the thing, right? Perfect transition once again. The one thing that makes me laugh more than anything else about AEW and AEW, well, a specific sect of AEW fans, they will tell you until they've got no typing left in their fingers, no voice left in their throat, that you have to love AEW. AEW is where it's at. AEW is where all the good shit happens. Da-da-da-da. I find stuff that I like in AEW, and the immediate response is, no, you're liking the wrong things.
Yeah, which... I mean,
Chris Jericho's a good example, but another good example is this. I don't like the Casino Gauntlet, but I like the Casino Battle Royal.
Yeah,
I
don't like the way the Gauntlet is because someone can win at any point. So then why would the number one person not just pin somebody immediately? Like the whole thing just doesn't really make a lot of sense. And you can get people colluding in on it if you have heels that start off. Like, so they're really just hurting the product by having, again,
what they're doing,
stupid booking.
What they're doing, I remember a while ago on Dynamite, and everybody thought this was the greatest thing ever, and like one match went really short because there was something happened. I don't remember what it was, but it's like, well, luckily we always have a bonus match on the card just in case something like this happens, and then they send out 2 more random people. So what you're doing, like, everybody thought that was cool and clever in the moment, right?
Yeah.
But what you've now done is you've set a precedent that every week we have to think about what poor schmo is waiting in the back that thought they might have a match tonight that didn't.
Just in case somebody gets injured.
Yeah,
like
what poor schmo is back there with their trunks on, ready to go, that didn't get a match tonight because nothing went wrong. And if you're if wrestlers are real people, that sounded funny, but whatever.
I know what you mean.
Like, what kind of mental space does that put you in? Is like, if somebody gets hurt tonight, I might get on TV.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really bad precedent to set. And
Sammy's wife, what's her name? Ty Conti. She said that on one of the interview shows, the backstage AEW show.
Yeah.
She's like, it's horrible to wish, somebody ill, but then I know I only get a shot if she's not here. They were talking about Thunder Rosa. So that mindset was already brought about by Britt Baker.
And here's the thing, right? Like, we don't know how many people are in the gauntlet. There's only 6 announced. Orange Cassidy's got the number 1 spot, and then you've got Mark Briscoe. There you go.
Yeah.
Kyle there's why Willow Nightingale doesn't have a partner for the kickoff. Because
what a waste to put him in the gauntlet match.
All of the conglomeration. See, here's the thing. If they did the gauntlet, because it's half of a good idea. Like a Royal Rumble by pinfall is something I've always done in video games. And the way they did it on NXT this past week, this Gauntlet Eliminator, whatever, it was a Royal Rumble by pinfall.
Yeah, and it was good.
And I thought it was really good. I think not just because it was on NXT, obviously because NXT did it, it was better, and we actually saw 6 women. Hey,
no, but we had pinfall. That was
But this is the thing, like if it was pinfall elimination and you still went through the roster of the Battle Royal, cool. But if there's a 30-person Battle Royal and the 7th person pins the 6th person, and I'm supposed to think that 23 other people are, like I say, once again, in the back with their boots on, ready to go, like, why is that a good story?
Exactly. I don't know why, and that's the problem.
It's going to be, whenever anybody wins the Royal Rumble, and yes, this is a WWE thing, somebody can come in at 27, win the Royal Rumble, and think, I went through 30 people to get to WrestleMania, and we all know it's kind of bullshit. We all kind of laugh, right? If, like, to your example, why doesn't guy 1 pin guy 2, and they come out the next night on Dynamite and say, I went through 30 people to get to my chance at All Out? Well, then you can definitely fuck off.
Exactly. Then you really messed up here.
You done messed up big and bad. Oh, my screen just went away. There we go. So, what's it, 4 even? AEW Championship match. So, winner gets to face either Swerve or Bryan Danielson. Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, It's going to be Hangman, isn't it?
I think so, because
Hangman can fuck off and all. Okay.
Well, what do we... So, this one gets a future world title match, right? So it has to be Hangman, because then they're going to go with Swerve and Danielson. And I think people are saying, have Swerve...
Does it not say at all out? Or is it just at a future date?
A future world championship. It's not at all out, so...
Okay, so it's borderline
at all out,
Royal
Rumble
right
now is Ospreay and Pac, if that is how it turns out. Whoever wins versus Pac.
Okay. So it's kind of a mix. The prize is a mix of a Royal Rumble and a Money in the Bank kind of idea.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Good a time as any to put this to you. It's not related to the show. What do you, and I've heard it since AEW started, what do you think of this idea that, AEW, everybody contributes and everybody does their thing, and you could have main eventers, you could have mid-carders, you could have low-carders, but Hangman Adam Page is the main character of AEW. Where the fuck did that come from?
I don't know. At one point in time, you could have said that he was like the main like moral center. You know what I mean? Like he was like the lawful good type guy, and then he became a drunk and kind of changed, and things no longer revolved around him. Then he redeemed himself.
Okay, but that's his story. That's not saying an entire roster of people exists.
But this is what I'm saying. Like
Hangman's story.
His story only, I think, ever really came out to the forefront when it didn't need to was some of the Punk stuff. But it's never been strictly tied to or because of AEW. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't been a... If anybody, I would say MJF would be like the main character. He's been one of the top faces, one of the top heels, one of the top faces, again top heel. Mm-hmm. People forget that he started out as an over face. Everyone's like, you're going to turn on Cody. He's like, no, I'm not. And
I wasn't around for that, yeah.
So it was kind of funny because he would do things behind Cody's back, like they'd go to cut the cake and he's got the knife behind Cody's back, and like, you know what I mean, like stupid shit. But it was funny. It was all tongue in cheek. It wasn't like very straightforward.
But like here's the thing. Like you and I have said it before. Like when we're talking about WWE, if you say, okay, who's really running WWE right now? Like who's like head honcho territory, right? To me, it's Roman, it's Cody, it's Punk, it's Rhea. Roughly, like day to day, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But like I would never have said like WWE in its 50 whatever years it's been around. Oh, like whoever was the first champion, I don't even fucking remember. Oh, like whoever comes into this company, so and so is the main character.
Yeah.
Like that's, and this isn't even necessarily a dig at Hangman. Like that shouldn't be a thing. Like everybody should be trying to be the main character. You know, the whole Austin thing of if you're not here to be the world champion, why are you here? Like, everybody should want that spot. Everybody should want to be talked about that way. But for the company to say, you know, thanks everybody for coming out. You guys have been really good supporting characters, but here's our main character.
Like, have a great night.
Okay, cool. You've got a roster of 1 then. Fuck off. Anyways, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Evil Uno, because he's still alive, apparently.
I know. They killed him the other day for Hangman to announce his spot, but
he's still in it.
He's still in it. Yeah, honestly, I didn't honestly know that they were even still doing anything with those guys. I mean, Dark Order has not been thought about in a long time.
Has Orange Cassidy faced Daniel Bryan?
I don't recall. I want to. My gut says yes.
Because it's one of those. If Bryan wins, we've seen Bryan versus Roderick Strong in the Royal Rumble years ago. That was hella interesting. Yeah. I would love to see Daniel Bryan take on Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, or Orange Cassidy, but I don't think any of them are even believable challengers, let alone believable champions at this point.
Exactly.
Anyways, Casino Gauntlet's kind of lame. Let's.
Well, that's the overall thing. Like. Anyways, I would say MJF would be the main character. He's always been, no matter what, the focal point of the show, multiple segments, backstage, front, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he's gone, they still talk about him as where they didn't talk about Hangman really as much. They waited for him to just return. I mean, there's a lot to it, but it doesn't make me excited for this match because I'm like, it just feels like a foregone conclusion of who's going to win.
If they eventually tell us that the gauntlet is a potential 30-person gauntlet and they actually take it through, I was going to say that would be interesting, but it wouldn't be because if it's one fall to a finish, for it to go all the way through, you'd have to actually have a full ring of the 30 people.
Exactly.
Like, has there ever, I'm a horrible historian, has there ever been a Rumble where all 30 people were in the ring?
At the same time... that's a good point.
Like a battle royal is a different thing because everybody's at once, and then it's just pushing and shoving.
But has there been a Royal?
Has there been a Royal Rumble where like guy 1, guy 2, guy 3, guy 4, and all 30
and it led up to? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Like you said, there's been elimination ones, but
I do like the Royal Rumble by pinfall idea. I think the version of it that we saw this past week on NXT is better. Not saying, again, I want to be clear about this, not saying because NXT did it.
I like the idea. Everybody has to get eliminated.
If AEW was elimination by pinfall, not one fall to a finish, like a battle royal shouldn't be one fall to a finish. It's weird. It makes me think of like, what was the Monday Night Raw where it was like, Cena and Triple H and Shawn Michaels were getting ready for a triple threat match, and every week on Raw they got to like make matches for the other two, and one of them just said, okay, the two of you versus the rest of the roster, and then everybody got like one punch and one kick and they won, and it was like fucking bullshit. Like
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe comes out at number 2, they high five, they hug each other, one kicks the other in the nuts, and there's a disqualification, and the person that got disqualified wins.
Like, yeah, now you're the, you get the title shot. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like thinking about those things that pulls you out of it, and not everything is going to line up, and not everything's going to be perfect, and I realize that. But when you lack simple forethought or foresight
I'm not saying don't come up with wacky new ideas, because like I say, the casino ladder match is a lot of fun. The casino, the regular casino battle royal where it's like one suit comes out at a time, and they use that Joker opportunity to introduce somebody new, and then so you've got a new star on the roster and you've got a winner that's going off to do something. You get to tell 2 stories. What was the thing that NXT came up with that I really like because it really worked way better than I thought it was going to? The Iron Survivor.
Oh yeah,
works as a hell of a concept. But, so I'm all for, like, anybody that's got an idea, anybody that's got a twist on an idea, throw it out. That's clearly what they've done here with the Casino Gauntlet. I like that they're tossing the idea out there. I don't like that they haven't realized that this one doesn't hit.
Yeah.
Is that a fair way to say it?
That's a very fair way to say it. This one's lacking something. I mean, it really is at this point in time, sadly. And I don't know. The thing that we usually complain about, like, all right, make it have purpose. Well, it does have purpose. They're going ahead and fighting for a title shot, so that's great. But now make it work. And it's not that complicated.
Well, it's like going back to the good side, King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring. Oh, that's nice. You get a crown. You get to do a stupid royalty gimmick for a couple months. No, actually, you get a title shot at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Now I hope they keep doing it. I hope they don't do it in Saudi Arabia, per se, but beggars can't be choosers. Let's talk about something that I'm pretty sure we're going to disagree on.
Okay.
Chris Jericho versus Hook.
I think Jericho wins.
I think this is going to be stupid fun.
I think this is going to be a lot of heat, and we're going to see interference on the behalf of Hook from Taz, and I'm sure Hook will win because it's his belt, blah, blah, blah. But I think they can get something out of it for having it go a while longer. I know people want this to be over with, but think about it. Samoa Joe still needs to make his revenge. So there's some type of like 6-man tag coming out of it. So Taz, Samoa Joe, and Hook against those three, and Taz just gets to put on like a Taz mission or something. That'd be great.
I was gonna say, I may be going against every logical part of my being right here, right now, right? But if he's healthy enough to pass physical or whatever, if he's healthy enough to do like one sort of very carefully plotted out match, Chris Jericho versus Taz, one night only on a random Dynamite. It won't be particularly good. Let's be real.
But I would.
It'll be like. Do you remember the one time that during the invasion when Heyman was telling off Vince, but he was sort of making fun of Taz at the same time because it's like you took this killing machine and you turned him into a commentator, and he tried to put the Taz mission on Paul. But Paul's huge, and he had the big coat on, so he's basically just hugging him.
Yeah.
It would be like that.
You know what, though?
But I want to see that.
Like when Jericho took on all the legends and Steamboat ended up killing it with him. They had a singles match after the fact. Like, maybe we get that out of Taz. You never know. Maybe Taz.
I like Taz. I like Taz. I didn't see Taz much as a wrestler because I didn't really watch ECW.
I did, and Taz was my favorite. And when he got into WWE, I hated it. But I had that orange shirt. I wanted that 13 fucking symbol tattooed on my fucking back or chest or something in the worst way. Like I saw him. I saw enough entrance.
I saw enough of him in WWE to know that if I had watched ECW, he probably would have been my favorite too, just because like attitude-wise, if nothing else.
He did great promos.
But I like him as a commentator. I like him as a commentator. I liked when he had his morning show for a little while when it was like the Taz show and then it was something else because he's like all around entertaining guy. Like he doesn't have to, like as Jericho would say, he doesn't have to fall on his neck for a living anymore. But like the guy,
and because he hasn't in so long, would he be healthy enough for one? Just one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's like bad comparison, right? But the modern day equivalent is Corey Graves.
Yeah. No, that's not a bad comparison.
Like Corey Graves didn't have the lineage behind him because his run in NXT was cut pretty short. But he was basically like grungy punk rock guy, don't fuck with me, I'm nobody's my friend, and blah, blah, blah. And then he teamed up with friggin' what's his name, Adrian Neville, who went on to go back to being Pac. But like when you took that grungy, like almost like street kid, ne'er-do-well attitude, and they threw him on commentary, and like, how the hell is this going to work? Well, it's going to work awesome actually because the guy's talented as fuck.
It did. It worked. Just fucking
and Taz on commentary worked. Like he always busted Michael Cole's balls, and now he's busting balls on everybody. I do find it awkward, and this is a stupid little thing that probably doesn't matter. It is awkward listening to him commentate on his kids' matches and pretend that he's just one of the unbiased commentators.
Yeah, that's always bothered me.
He's trying to do a good professional
He's
job.
Seeing his son get his ass kicked and not acting like it.
Exactly.
Like, I would be running in the ring to save him.
But the thing is, like, that means he's bad for doing good at his job, because the good thing to do in any sport would be go in, do a professional job, and all that kind of thing.
Involved,
but because of that, it doesn't feel real. And then
let your son make his own bed, kind of thing. Yeah.
But then when Jericho comes out later on, your fucking son of a bitch fucking took my belt. Goddamn, that goddamn kid lost my fucking belt.
And you can have fun, like you said, with this match. It really could be a lot of fun if they do it right. I don't hate Jericho. I really don't. I'm just tired of Chris Jericho. I don't like the learning tree because he's being sarcastic against the fans that told him, take a break. You're not doing anything worthwhile. You're diminishing the stock of the name Jericho, and your name should mean something. So please, fucking stop. Yeah. Just long enough to let us enjoy it.
Here is the thing. right? And here's where I'm going to stick up for Jericho. A big part of people turning on him is because they don't like what he has as far as public opinion that has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. So first of all, fuck off. I'm not saying you, obviously.
Yeah, see, me not so much. I mean, I can separate the dumbass from the wrestler, and that's
but like
the thing.
A lot of the
things,
just... a lot of people will point to the crowd, and the crowd's chanting, "Please retire." But like, how many people are trying to get like woke points? Be like, "Oh, he voted for so and so." Of course, I don't
think
him.
Most people have an issue with anything because of that. I think it's just him generating go away heat at this point in time. I mean, there's probably a small subsect of people that certainly do care, but I don't think most do.
He's doing a borderline version of the sports entertainer thing still, even though he's not calling it that, right? Like, being really way over the top. When AEW first started, and they really went in like two-footed, couldn't get WWE out of their mouths, and we're gonna make fun of all the things that WWE does, and then they start doing backstage segments, and then they do interruption promos, and da-da-da. And the argument was, okay, well AEW is doing, well no, they're just doing it to show WWE how silly they are. It's like no, they're just also doing it.
Yeah.
And that's a pain. Like, don't lie to me. Jericho is a heel, pretending to not know that those things are, and part of his narcissism is part of why you're supposed to boo him.
Yeah.
Whereas when the Young Bucks were baby faces and doing we're going to look at the TV in a really funny angle and whatever.
Yeah.
We're not just doing it. We're doing it to be like extra meta about WWE. It's like, no, you're just doing it too.
Yeah, exactly. You are just doing it.
But Jericho is the guy that I want to say, no, you're an asshole. Oh wait, you're playing an asshole. It's fine. And it's like, there is a little bit of me. If I was a wrestler, if people were chanting, "Please retire," that wanted me to retire, and it might be a little bit of the Jericho in me, it might be a little bit of the CM Punk in me. If people were chanting, "Please retire," I would be going to Tony Khan and being like, "Can I get 5 more minutes?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you. But I don't think he's doing it the right way to get that reaction from people, and that's the problem. He's
not, and
you know what? He's getting them to boo, but it's not.
People are going to turn away. It is. But it's becoming that other side, and you and I have talked about this before as well, right? I either love this because it's good, I love this because it's ridiculous, and the third option, especially on this,
other people,
because it pisses off all the right people.
Yeah. And see,
I will tune into AEW to watch somebody that I know pisses off the AEW fans. That's a new sport. It's like fish in a very wide barrel.
Yeah. I get that, but. I still, at this point, though, just...
Hook's gonna win.
I imagine Hook will win, but...
I will say you're not getting much focus on Hook because Jericho is a big character. Like, Jericho takes up the air in the room, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends on the day, depends on the time. I like it. Yeah. I wish it wasn't at the expense of Hook, because Hook, okay, I just figured it out. Take the TNT title off Jack Perry, put it on Darby Allin, have him defend it against Hook. You've just made the pay-per-view better.
Yeah, 1,000 times better, because they had wasn't it Hook and Jack Perry that had the match last year with the real glass comment?
The Jungle Hook, and then they fell apart.
Yeah, so they had a match against each other. That's when he turned heel.
Okay, I know they're
so now a year later for the belt?
I know they're both baby faces, right? Can you imagine how good Darby Allin versus Hook would be for the TNT Championship? Fuck it, still put it in a casket match.
Maybe they can do it all out.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens, but...
No, but then how's Jack Perry going to get his dick sucked? Anyways, moving swiftly on. Hook's going to probably get his dad's belt back, and that's going to be awesome. And hopefully Taz gets up in the ring and actually gets to, be a part of it, and he doesn't have to play professional for a second. Or he gets in there, celebrates his kid, and then kicks Jericho in the dick. I want something stupid out of this match, and it's going to give me something stupid, so I don't mind it.
Okay, I can understand that. I can appreciate that as well.
If they were doing Swerve, Bryan, and Ospreay, MJF all at the end of the card, this is the match you would put in between.
Okay, I get that.
It would be a perfect, not filler, but let everybody up, let everybody breathe a little match.
Yeah, give everybody a chance to catch up and enjoy. I got you.
All right. Moving swiftly on. Jesus Christ, this is a long card.
There might still be another match announced.
Remember when AEW had a tag division?
Did they? I don't recall.
Young Bucks versus FTR versus The Acclaimed.
See, versus...
My sanity.
Yeah, really, like, versus who gives a damn. That's the problem here.
Here's where I said I was going to make a point from earlier, because you sort of mentioned this match earlier.
Right ahead.
I was sick of Young Bucks versus FTR when the Revival was still in NXT.
Yeah, because they ran that gimmick into the ground of fuck the Revival, and
I
they
was sick
never
of this
let it
match
go
before it existed.
Yeah, this was not one I was excited for to begin with. I never liked the Young Bucks. I don't like their match style. They're very gymnastic-y. They oversell moves. They get hit by 5 million things, and they got to put thumbtacks in the mouth, and it goes and goes and goes. They never kick out, or they always kick out of everything. Like there's no selling really. Like it's just all bullshit.
And they've gotten to the point now that their matches that don't have that are boring. See, at the beginning. Again,
because it's barely their match if they're not doing it.
Again, like if I could avoid character and all that, I say I was sick of hearing about it. I was sick of hearing about it, but I still wanted to see it. Like FTR being like the grounded, old school grappler guys versus Young Bucks that are the entire opposite of that, maybe too far in the other direction. Styles make matches. I was interested in it the first time. I enjoyed it the first time. I don't need it to be like
again a repeat.
I don't need to be like pretending that this is the standard bearer of AEW, especially when one half of it is the guys running the place.
Okay,
like,
I get that, yeah.
One of the matches that I get shit on a lot, and I've joked with on streams with the What Culture guys, specifically Michael Hamflet, because he doesn't agree with me at all. One of the things that I really loved, even though it didn't have an ending, was back in Black and Gold NXT when NXT was golden, and they had I don't know whether it was a title match or whether it was a number one contenders match, but it was a fatal 4-way Iron Man match, right? And it was, I'm going to get this wrong, Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Gargano, and Ciampa. And it's like, these are the guys that are making not your company.
I remember that. I remember the Iron Man match.
And then two of them, I think it was Cole and Balor, ended in a tie, and then it continued on the following week in a one-on-one match. And everybody's like, oh, it was so shit, we wasted an hour. It's like, no, you saw awesome wrestling from 4 guys for an hour straight.
Dramatic storytelling. And that's I even praised it earlier. I like Iron Man matches and whatnot. I'm a weirdo, but I like it.
But that was their, like, this is, like, it's kind of why I don't mind the Pillars thing, even though they didn't make it a Pillars thing. But you're like, these are definitely the pillars that we're building NXT on right now. Potentially, these could be the pillars WWE is built on later on. Now, Finn Balor, you could argue, DIY is finally getting some recognition. Adam Cole went to the other guys. But, like, at the time, it was, they didn't have to say it, but they were telling you, these are the guys.
Yeah.
I think AEW, the Young Bucks more specifically, want you to think that as far as our tag team division goes, these are the guys. You can't, as a company, make a statement like that when 2 of the 4 guys are the guys in charge, the guys making the decision, the guys deciding who the guys are and deciding that it's them.
You're not wrong.
And the thing is, FTR is awesome, and they're catching strays on this because it's the other side of the conversation. And
I really like the Acclaimed as well. They should have won at All In or All Out last year, whichever one it was. All Out, I think it was. And then they won when I saw them 2 years ago, sorry, and they won at the Grand Slam instead, like the week after. See, they didn't win at the pay-per-view. But they got a great reaction.
I don't believe them in this match.
That's what I was going to say to you. The characters they're playing hasn't been them. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work.
You're not wrong, but that's not even what I'm going for.
Well,
I don't believe their presence in this match.
Oh yeah,
I don't believe they are a legitimate third competitor in the match.
Yeah, they don't seem like a credible threat. They seem like just a forgotten addition, even though they're the number one contenders.
No, I'm going even worse.
Ooh,
they feel like they are guests in the match, just so that people don't say, "Well, fuck, we're doing Young Bucks and FTR again." That's what they're there for.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So this is a repeat of last year's match, and I just said I would have liked a repeat with Jungle Boy Jack Perry taking on Hook. because that could have story, the year of development into the scapegoat and all that stuff. But with this, there's no real new story except that the EVPs are the EVPs, and now they can control matches and outcomes, and even though Tony's in charge, they can do everything they want and do as they want. So I'm always just confused as to how they can call things, but then Tony can make match, so he can unsuspend people they suspend, but then so all
they
that
have to cling to this FTR rivalry because them saying "fuck the revival" was their signature like shot across the bow at NXT.
Yeah, that was their big attempt.
Like they're still clinging to it. I forgot something. While I was bitching about Jack Perry versus Darby Allin in the casket match or whatever. Have you heard the spoiler? Have you heard the rumor, rather?
What's that?
Sting's coming back to help Darby Allin win the match.
Yeah, I had heard that Sting was already on his way, so that was one of the last things I was going to bring up to you, actually. A little bit of a spoiler there, like you're saying, they've seen Sting there. Some people saying, no, he's just going to celebrate with people. Other people are saying, no, he's involved in, what's going to go on. I hope not. I really hope he's not going to help Darby, because that's going to make Darby look like shit.
Not only that, but, you had his retirement, right? And, okay, it was what it was. It was a tag match. It was weird. But whatever, they gave him the send-off that I guess he was okay with, and everybody got mad because Ric Flair dared to get a paycheck and blah, 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 right? But we already know that retirements don't mean anything in wrestling. And you've got a guy putting his career on the line in the main event. So don't, in the same show, prove that those stipulations or those agreements or those announcements or those retirements don't mean anything, because you're taking the air out of the main event. We're not even at the main event yet. But, am I off? Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. I think the Acclaimed should win here, even though they're not really at the dinner table. They're going to be the ones that lose. I can almost swear I see the Young Bucks retaining here. I don't see them losing the titles yet. And that's because we could see the Motor City Machine Guns. We could see, there's possibilities of what's going to happen. They might go to WWE still. We don't know.
Who's that?
There's the Motor City Machine Guns.
Okay. That's true.
Everything's an uncertainty. So in the interim, what do we got? I think the Young Bucks are going to retain here. They're going to keep the titles. Honest to God, I have a feeling that there's going to be another team to come in for either All In or something like that. It's going to be a big to do. I think that's really going to be what they need. So
they could do a cool thing here, right? And it wouldn't change my opinion of the Bucks, but I would tip my cap to them for the night, because they've been doing this, like you say, the on again, off again, authority figure sometimes, not authority figure sometimes. They've fucked with a couple people here and there, but not really dedicated themselves to being a full-on Vince McMahon, I'm the heel boss, I'm going to fuck with everybody thing. Because it's a triple threat, and theoretically there's no DQs in a triple threat, if a bunch of random other people from the back came out because they were so sick of being fucked around by their bosses and whatever, took the Bucks out of the equation, and it basically became a no DQ 2-on-2 match between FTR and the Acclaimed, that would be cool.
That would be much better.
They won't do it.
No.
They will not take themselves off the stage at Wembley. We're not retarded. We don't think that's going to happen.
And the way it's worked out a few times really sucks, because FTR already got the number one contendership, so it's like, why do they have to prove themselves again and again and again? So it's just, a lot of it just isn't working, and sadly it just sucks at this point. I wish it didn't, but this really... They were built on tag team wrestling. AEW was supposed to give a damn about tag teams, finally. For the first time in ages, we were supposed to have, a company that cared about tag team wrestling. Because NXT was caring, but Vince was ruining that. He was calling up teams and breaking them apart.
Well, here's the thing that I said, and I think you and I said it back in the days when, you and I were doing NXT, and me and Guapo would do a bit of AEW, and then we would kind of do a little bit for WWE, because WWE was shit. You could always say that, AEW cornered the market on tag team wrestling, and NXT was really shooting on all cylinders with women's wrestling, and both companies, opposite divisions, were struggling, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One of those is still true.
Yes.
And here's the thing. You want to know what the really sad thing is? The downfall of the AEW tag team division needs to be studied. Because it was fun in the beginning. Like
it was very fun, and they had just so much promise and so much just possibility. I mean, they really could have done a lot here.
But you know what the even funnier thing is?
What's that?
You know what's even funnier than the downfall of what used to be a great title? The further fall of a title that's never been good, the AEW World Trios Championship.
And you know what? They had something
anywhere.
with House of Black. They did. They had something with House of Black for a little bit, and then it just... I don't know.
They still do have something with the House of Black. I just don't think they know it, or they care about it.
You're not wrong, sadly. And I mean, it's just been a very big disgrace overall. These guys have gone out and given us everything.
I'm gonna say the predictable thing.
What's that?
Can you imagine the House of Black versus the Wyatt Six?
I know. There's
the history between Brody King and Eric Rowan.
Yeah. It writes itself, really.
Malachi Black coming back to WWE, Buddy Murphy coming back to WWE, Buddy Murphy rubbing shoulders with Seth Rollins and Austin Theory, Malachi Black doing like raised up coffin shit, and I'm sure Zelina Vega would join them at some point, and Rhea Ripley would join them at some point, and they'd all be the new fucking like, Judgment Day.
We can have fun with this, and that's what I wanted back from AEW.
Hear me out. Hear me out, though. The patriarchy is lame. Christian Cage, Killswitch, Nick Wayne, because, the Sirius Company has...
That needs to be studied. I'm sorry, that needs to be studied. Christian was one of the most over heels in the company. When he whispered, go fuck yourself, to Edge in response to him saying, come back to me, be my brother again. And
even when he was doing the cool shit of, like, whoever I'm fighting has a dead dad.
Yeah.
Like, it was light, but he was doing really well with it. It's like, he's a cool character, and then you remember what he's doing. And then he comes out and he's a cool character, and then you remember what he's... Like, it's such an on and off switch. And the Mother Wayne thing is creepy. I'm just putting that out there right now.
No,
but
you're not wrong.
Patriarchy, Killswitch, super serious company. We don't do the goofy shit, except we have a dinosaur with an identity complex. The three less exciting members of the Bullet Club Gold. I'm sorry, but it is. House of Black, who have been incredibly mismanaged. And the final team, here's your next spoiler from Collision, the Bastard Combat Club.
Ooh.
Pac, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta.
Well, you know what? We're getting that. I believe at Collision they said on Saturday there was some. Well,
that's where they're qualifying. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
it's happening, buddy. It's happening.
They beat. Oh, who was it?
There was a lot of people there.
No, but the team that they beat to qualify was like Leo Rush teaming up with the BLM squad.
Yeah, essentially. And it's funny to see BLM, himself, the one, the only Leo Rush back in that position. I'm surprised he didn't retire by then. I liked him initially. I used to support him endlessly.
The guy's talented as fuck, but Jesus Christ.
He's so talented. He's crazy.
we're gonna have him show up in the Battle Royal, and he's gonna point at Bobby Lashley's bum, and it's gonna be hilarious.
He was cutting amazing promos. He was cutting the best promos backstage on his cell phone, being put up on like Raw Talk and shit like that. I'm like, why is this not on the TV? What are you guys doing?
My whole point is, when he was managing Bobby Lashley for a little bit of time, and Lashley was doing like the weird like muscle poses and stuff like that, and then he pointed his butt, and it was getting slaughtered because it was happening on Raw.
Yeah,
and now people want to see it happen in the Battle Royal.
He was cutting the best promos of his life, and no one was seeing it.
No.
So it was the dichotomy between the two was terrible.
I'm being petty and shallow.
Hey, go for it.
They want the exact same thing that they made fun of on Raw to happen on Dynamite.
You're not wrong.
We're the super serious company, except when we're fighting in orange juice.
I've never been crazy about trios titles. I never wanted to have the 3 titles. I think it's a bad idea to have trios titles when you already have a tag division, but hey, that's just me.
I'll say something again, because in a lot of companies, but specifically WWE, the accusation was for a long time is all the teams were just thrown together people. And they were. Fucking Edge and Hulk Hogan were tag team champions. David Otunga and John Cena were like, it's a thing, right? A thrown together team is never going to look like like an actual team. Like the Young Bucks are, for all I don't like them, they're an actual team.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Young Bucks versus John Cena and David Otunga would be strange. Because first of all, John Cena should kill both of them. Second of all, it's a team versus a team that's not a real team. But how many of the so-called trios in AEW are just 3 guys thrown together or 1 guy in a tag team thrown together?
Yeah. Oh no.
How is
exactly.
that any better? There are more legitimate trios in the WWE women's division than there is in AEW.
And that's why I was hoping, like, oh, all right, Collision, they're going to have the tag team titles, and Dynamite, they'll do the trios. You know what I mean? Like, one for each, or something like that.
Oh, but you're talking about back when CM Punk was making Collision watchable.
Yeah, its own show. And sadly, I don't know. I knew they weren't going to be able to have enough focus to carry it on multiple shows or over multiple shows, including Rampage as well, and to also make it to where it's watchable.
Is Moxley injured? Do we know?
I thought he was just finally given time off. Everyone kept saying, finally, you got a vacation. And I'm like, why now of all times? Like,
yeah. Because I'm thinking, first of all, like, obviously
that's why Pac's filling in and shit.
Obviously Danielson has his title match, but like there's 3 other members in the Blackpool Combat Club. Why is Pac thrown in there? Other than the fact that it probably would have been him and the Lucha Brothers, but the Lucha Brothers have seen the light and they're going to the good company. But on the other side of the coin, why?
Yeah, but Death Triangle's done for. Yeah.
But why would the Blackpool Combat Club go and help Pac when it could be Blackpool Combat Club, all 3 of them, going for titles the same night that Bryan Danielson is going for titles? None of it makes sense.
I know.
And I'm sorry, I like Juice Robinson, I like the Guns, but what's it called? Bullet Club Gold without what's his name, Jay White?
Yeah. Without the Switchblade, not great.
Like, it's weird.
Juice is funny, but he needs Switchblade there to be like the balance.
He needs
to
be the side guy.
Yeah,
like
he's not
it's the
main,
opposite. It's the opposite of a comedian needing a straight man. Like, he needs to be somebody's funny guy.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sorry, it's wild to me. You look at 2 guys like Jay White and Adam Cole that were supposedly saved. Adam Cole was saved from NXT. Jay White was saved from TNA, and they've done nothing with them.
Being saved as being the NXT champion and
here's the
revered as one of the best to ever do it.
No. I'm saying AEW hasn't really done anything with either of them.
No.
But it's still really noticeable that they're gone.
Yes.
Like, Adam Cole needs to
because they didn't have any major stars built at this point in time. They have people, but they threw them out there for these dream match scenarios so many times that people just really stopped caring.
Like, there's 4 names I can think of off the top of my head, and you can tell me if there's probably more. And these are not even all necessarily people that I like. But there's no Kenny, there's no Mox, there's no Adam Cole, there's no Jay White.
I mean, yeah, and I'm sure if I thought some more, there'd be a couple other people that I forgot about as well. And that's kind of been the thing where we haven't seen them, we haven't heard about them. Adam Cole especially, he was revealed as the devil, the bad guy that screwed MJF for so long, and then radio silence, he kicks him in the balls once, nothing ever again, done and over with. And that's what upset me, because you had a whole, essentially, like 6 months of this storyline. For what?
You want to know what's ironic though? We talk about like the big exodus from WWE and how many of them ended up in AEW. And then you see other guys that don't really need to, like Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali and all these guys that are doing great as well. But now the pendulum has swung the other way. People are seeing that the grass is not always greener on the new lawn, and they're coming back to WWE.
Exactly.
Look at those 4 people I just mentioned, right? Would I like to see Adam Cole back in WWE? Of course I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would I like to see
the Undisputed Era should have been a fucking slam dunk. I'm still
it should have. I know you've mentioned that multiple times, and it's absolutely true. But
it breaks my heart every time.
But even without the Undisputed Era, I would love to see Adam Cole, just Adam Cole.
Oh, of course. No Undisputed Era needed, but I'm just always
I know.
Easy to quote, but come on.
But like
this main event, it doesn't feel like a main event.
Before we get to the main event, I just want to make a point here, right? Because I was never a big Kenny fan, right, until I was there live for Kenny versus Ospreay, and that was probably the best match I saw live that year. I will totally tip my cap to that, right? But think about this for a second. Would I love to see Adam Cole back? Yes. Would I love to see Mox back as Mox? Like, do the Cody Rhodes thing. Like, come back as the person you are now. Of course. Would I like to see Jay White in WWE? Of course I would. He's another one along with Will Ospreay that I'm ticked we didn't get. Do you know what kind of brush fire I want to see on Twitter right now? I would love to see Kenny show up on Raw or on NXT or something. Not even because I want to see him, just because they deserve to have something taken. The night I messaged you on the night, I messaged you and I messaged Guapo that night where they hit us with the 1-2 punch of they had Adam Cole and then they signed Bryan Danielson.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, we're fucked.
It felt like it at that point in time.
Little did I know that they would fall off like they have now and have these little adorable shows that are a quarter of the size of WrestleMania. But
that's the point that you're making is the point that I'm trying to get at, is that they made Bryan not special. He just isn't. And all of a sudden now at the very, they want us to give a crap because we've cared about him in WWE for so many years. And we cared about him in Ring of Honor.
They always lean on the fact that, he doesn't prioritize being champion. He just wants to go out there and wrestle. He doesn't have to be champion for you to treat him like a champion.
Exactly.
Does the president, other than when he's carrying somebody else's title, but has the presentation of Mox ever really changed from when he was champion to when he was not champion?
No.
Like you talk about main character energy. Mox was AEW's main character all through COVID.
Exactly.
I will give him 100% credit for that.
Absolutely.
His character never really changed. Whether he was he's got a different version of the John Cena thing. He's the main guy, whether he's got a title or not. He's got the Mox version of that, right? You could have Bryan Danielson never carry a belt in the entire rest of his life. Obviously, he didn't carry the belts, and that's the story we're telling now. But there are other ways to make somebody feel big and feel respected.
They haven't done that in AEW. Ring of Honor did. AEW didn't. WWE did. AEW didn't. And now, because he had great matches and memories in those two places, they want you to be like, oh my God, if he retires, you're going to miss him. Because we're not going to miss him from anything he's done in AEW.
Yep.
He had the one really good match with Kenny Omega. That was the time limit draw.
He had a couple of good matches with MJF.
Yep. But there was no story to it. There was no substance. It's not memorable. The CM Punk entire angle, I can go from the promos, the matches, MJF winning twice, and then the dog collar match,
and how many of even on, and I'm not talking about what we know because we're dirt sheet hounds and whatever, but I'm saying on camera, how many of his matches are going to be is he going to get injured tonight?
Yeah, exactly. And what they do to sell us as him possibly winning is to tell us that his neck and spine are pretty much broken and he needs immediate surgery following him winning the title. He's going to need to be repaired and he can't do it long, and this will be his last match as a full-time wrestler. Then why in God's name would we want you to have the title anyways? Are you going to have it and just retire and then be like, okay, I was the champion, now somebody else can win the title in a tournament again?
Never mind.
How many times have we seen that?
Never mind the fact that this is supposed to be if he's losing, this is supposed to be the biggest put over yet for Swerve.
For Swerve, but yet Bryan's a fucking face.
But he's made out of glass.
He's made out of glass, and you're having people be upset at Swerve for putting away Daniel Bryan. So Swerve, you're a champion.
Well, see, I wasn't even going for that. You've been telling us.
But I've read this side of it too. People being like, well, Swerve has to lose because how could he as a face put away and retire? I was like, well, same way Shawn Michaels did it to Flair, and they're like, that was different. They had history. And I'm like, well, no shit. That's why this is a problem. Because there's no history. There's no blood. There's no real rivalry. It just is what it is. Swerve is now the champion. If it was anybody else a champion, they'd be in this match. That's the problem. It's not Bryan versus Swerve. It's Bryan versus the champion. And oh, by the way, he's going to fucking retire.
But here's the thing. I want to, from the little bit that we know of Bryan, and, don't have parasocial relationships with celebrities, and we don't really know them and all that. But, Bryan wants to make everybody around him look great. He really does. There's a bit of me that thinks, okay, if he's decided that it's his time to go, did he pick Swerve as the guy he wants to put over on his way out? Right? That could definitely be a thing. But you've been telling us for a year that the guy's made out of glass. So what you're telling us is Swerve broke a piece of glass. It doesn't work, man. And the bitch of this is, like I said it at the beginning, MJF versus Will Ospreay, probably the match I'm most excited about on the card by far.
Me as well.
Most excited I've been for a match in AEW since MJF CM Punk, and is that partially because I'm biased? Yes. How? And I'm straight into hyperbole here. How dare AEW present me with a world title match of Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson in a way that I am not crawling the wall to see?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, because I should be in absolute dire straits to see this match as well, and I don't have a care. Even if Bryan retires, I'm not going to be upset, because all we've done is see him hurt himself. I don't want him to come back. I want him to go and be a father and retire. You know, it's like I've seen pretty much everything I could see out of you. You're labeled the best wrestler in the world at times, and it's hard to disagree with some matches. But other times, I haven't liked the change he made when he went into AEW. Like, he brought back the Ring of Honor Bryan, but it's different. It's not the same.
Ring of Honor isn't even Ring of Honor anymore.
Exactly, but it wasn't even what it was then with him. And that was kind of the problem as well, is that, like, oh, yeah, we've got Bryan, but it's not the yes man that everybody wants to root for. He's doing these heelish things, fine, but he was never presented as a full heel with the BCC either. Like, he was a bad guy.
BCC never had an identity. BCC was like Moxley and
dry.
BCC was like Moxley and Friends.
Exactly.
And sadly, am I including Daniel Bryan in the end Friends? Yes.
Like, that's how it came across.
Like, they're
it was Moxley's story with what's his name, with Regal originally. And then the rest of it fell to the wayside of Bryan.
Now they're the Bastard Combat Club with Pac and Claudio and Wheeler and Jesus Christ.
And they always have the fun names to go with it, you know?
And everything's like a modification of... And I know that it happens in other places, and I know, like, the Elite became the Golden Elite, and the Bullet Club becomes the Bullet Club Gold. Like, I know that that's a thing, but it's just like, add one more person, subtract one more person, change the name. Add one more person, subtract one more person, change the name. It's cringe.
Yeah, the Elite, the Golden Elite, the Super Golden Elite, the Golden Triangle, the Super Golden Triangle, the Ass Eaters, the Swallowers,
the Golden Showers.
Exactly. Oh, you got me.
Okay, and tell me we don't rip off WWE with the Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing I was saying too. Like, a lot of times you see wrestlers when they leave, and if they were the astronaut, well, now I'm the comet, you know, and it's like, only a few times have people reinvented themselves.
Remember when they tried to get AEW Galaxy off the ground?
Yeah, Sean Spears did it well, I think, and started to reinvent himself as the chairman and do that kind of thing. And then they didn't follow up with him in AEW at all. But he had a chance to get away from the Ty Dillinger name and likeness. Mm-hmm. You know, there was things like that. But most people, like Sasha, oh, I was the boss, now I'm the CEO. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like...
But here's the thing, though. Like, I don't, with the Sean Spears thing, I don't credit that to AEW. I credit that to Sean Spears saying, yes, I'm not in WWE anymore. No matter where I go, I'm not going to be Ty Dillinger anymore. And I've gone so far around the houses that I'm back in NXT now, and I'm not even Ty Dillinger anymore.
Exactly.
So, like, Sean Spears isn't... It's like, oh, Cody friggin'... his entrance is the same as it was in AEW. We made him, and it's like, okay, what are you doing with Edge right now?
Yeah, and the entrance was already taken from his run in Ring of Honor. That's where he got the original, you know, when he went on the Indies to have that music. Mm-hmm. That's where he took Downstate with him, and he was like, if I go anywhere, I'll take you with me.
It's so bad, and it's... Like I say, like, a lot of these matches would make more sense if we switched the titles involved. I said switch the titles so that Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May were fighting for, like, the main world championship. And I just realized they are. It just doesn't feel that way.
No, it doesn't. It feels like it's Sasha's belt, and they're not even really fighting for anything worthwhile with the TBS title. Like
okay,
I said,
I'm going to cheer us up because, okay, here's the thing. On this card, we have Chris Statler, Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale, Tomohiro Ishii. We've got the Tony versus Mariah, MJF versus Will Ospreay, Jack Perry versus Darby Allin, Mercedes Moné versus Dr. Britt Baker, the Casino Gauntlet, Jericho versus Hook, the Young Bucks squashing some people, trios stuff, Swerve Strickland versus Danielson in a match that's not nearly as exciting as it should be. Or, I'm going to leave this on a high note. Do you want to forget about this show entirely and look at the following week? And I want you to listen to this list and know that it's not even a complete list. Mike Bailey versus Zachary Wentz versus Riley Osborne versus Jason Hodge versus Laredo Kid versus Hammerstone in a TNA X Division Championship match contested under Ultimate X rules. ABC versus First Class for the tag titles. Jordan Grace, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat taking on Ash by Elegance, Alicia Edwards, and Masha Slamovich. Nick Nemeth and Josh Alexander in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the TNA Championship.
Gunther
versus Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not only that, in Gunther's kind of sort of hometown, and if Orton loses or wins the championship, he has to change shows. His home changes. Cody Rhodes giving Kevin Owens a championship match over on SmackDown because he thinks his friend deserves it. The Terror Twins turned on by Judgment Day and taking on Dirty Dom and Liv Morgan. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk
we have our own intergender match.
Of course. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk showing how you should respect and use CM Punk in a strap match that's definitely going to lead to Hell in the Cell in a couple of months. Roxanne Perez giving a first ever title shot to Jada Parker. Ethan Page taking on TNA's Joe Hendry. Kalani Jordan taking on Wendy Chu for the Women's North American Championship. Obafemi taking on Tony D'Angelo for the North American Championship. Chase University giving the contractually obligated rematch to Nathan Frazier and Axiom. And Wes Lee taking on, once again, TNA's Zachary Wentz. That's what we have next weekend. That's what we're going to be talking about next weekend.
That's what we can't wait for. And that's the thing. It's like there's so much good to be excited about right now. And I really wish I was looking forward more than just one match on this show. I really only care about the MJF match. I'm curious to see if Ricochet comes out at any point. I mean, really, you would think he would be challenging Will Ospreay, if anybody, because it was Ospreay and Ricochet that originally broke the internet when they had their match. Remember, Vader tore it down and said it wasn't wrestling, and everybody got into big fights online. Wasn't that in WCPW? I believe it was. I know it was in the UK scene, so I think it was. And even more than just that, like, you just can't help but, be like, all right, where does Ricochet fall in? Is he going to be a main eventer, or is he going to go for the mid-card title that Ospreay is holding? Like, what's the call here? Or does he go after Swerve Strickland after he beats Daniel Bryan and he retires? So then everyone's about to leave on a sad note, but oh my God, it's Ricochet and he's challenging Swerve Strickland all out in a week. I could also see them doing something like that as well. So, I mean, Ricochet, that's kind of the X factor, but no matter what, I don't think it matters. It's not going to save anything. It might add a bit more interest, but it's not going to save the show, sadly.
Here's the thing. I told you the match I'm looking most forward to is MJF versus Will Ospreay. Going through all those matches, I am looking forward to MJF versus Will Ospreay about the same as I am looking forward to not used properly in WWE, but being used properly in TNA, the current TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth taking on Josh Alexander in an actual Iron Man match.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Like, Bash in Berlin is going to be awesome. We're going to be talking about all these things. The continued success of NXT will, I'm sure, rile up a bunch of other people.
Absolutely. We'll see some previews, some reviews,
I've told you that sooner or later, My Local Destiny is actually getting onto the Fight Network, so I'll let you guys know when that happens.
We're getting Mauro Ranallo coming back.
Mauro Ranallo is going to do Maple Leaf Pro under the tutelage of Scott D'Amore. Now, apparently Scott D'Amore doesn't have a whole lot of nice things to say about TNA or the NXT working relationship. I haven't read all of that, but I'm really glad to see that Scott D'Amore is doing stuff up here in Canada with Mauro Ranallo and the roster that he's put together already.
Yeah, looks good.
There's a bunch of good... what did I say the other week? There's a bunch of good shit going on right now.
Absolutely.
And then there's AEW.
Hey, I wish AEW the best. I want Tony to have a good weekend.
I'm
I know. Because I still not only because there's people that I like there, but because it made WWE try again. It really did. And part of that was Vince leaving. Part of that was the changing of tides and hands and things. But also part of it was, yes, hey, we got to batten down the hatches. We got to keep as many people as we can. We got to not worry about losing people to Tony Khan and AEW, because it was an unknown factor, in 2019, even 2020 because of COVID. But once they got back with fans back in attendance, it really began like, oh, okay, we don't have to worry about this anymore. They're not booking in a way that's a threat to any of us. And that's really unfortunate, but I would like to see them get to a point where they are not close and beating, but at least back in the same regard. I mean, right now, the most they can say is that they're against...
succeeded in the beginning. This is my take. This is not Jake's take, for the record. AEW succeeded in the beginning for two reasons. A, they were new, and B, WWE sucked.
Neither one of
those things is true anymore. WWE's kicking ass, so they don't have the, oh, look at how they're doing, and they're not the shiny new toy anymore.
No, they're not new. And people are tuning out in droves. That's why you're getting 600, 700,000 viewer shows on impactful nights. So.
WCW.
I mean, the writing's on the wall. We know.
And it's written in piss. Jake, tell them where to find you.
You can find me at Countdown Ended on the Joe Cronin Show and here on the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel.
And you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Jake. This has been your oh-so-painfully honest preview of AEW All In Da Mud show. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, guys, I am tagging out. Bye.
Ricochet's no needle mover.